Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. Thanks for joining us for this COVID-19 and City News briefing for Monday, September 21st. We'll start with today's numbers in terms of tests. These are system-wide numbers for Forest General, Merit Health Wesley, Hattiesburg Clinic, Simrai, and the Moffitt Health Center at USM. As of this morning, we have 59,146 tests completed. 6,502 of those have come back positive. 52,362 have come back negative. 281 tests are currently pending. In the hospital today, we have 51 people who are COVID positive between Forest General and Merit Health Wesley, with another 16 who are under investigation. And of those 51, we have 14 in the ICU. That's actually some of the lowest numbers we've seen in quite a while, with another 6 under investigation right now. As you can see, we haven't been at the 14 mark in ICU probably since the middle of June, and we're well under over the 100 hospitalizations that we saw in late July. So continued trend downward, and that's a good sign. We did have 2 new deaths on Saturday. We had 1 in Forest County, 1 in Lamar County, which brings our total now to 70 in Forest County and 34 in Lamar. Statewide today, 192 new cases. However, no new deaths reported today. Of course, we're still coming off a weekend of testing, so we'll see if those numbers go up as the week goes along. New positive cases in Forest County, we had 5. Lamar County, we had 4, bringing the metro area total to 9. Since this began, Forest County's had 2395. Lamar County's had 1635. Our 5-day average, one thing that I do want to talk a little bit about is we had this sort of steady decline for so long. We were under 10 both in Forest and Lamar counties, and then you see this big spike at the end that happened over the weekend. So I want to dedicate just a couple of moments to why did the 5-day average jump last weekend. What we saw on Saturday was a jump in 65 new cases in Forest County and 44 in Lamar. So well over 109 cases in one day, which is one of the higher days we've had since COVID began in terms of a one-day spike in numbers. And so we kind of looked through what are some possible scenarios. We talked to our folks at Emergency Management. Of course, they have a little deeper information in terms of where these cases are being located. We looked at, was there an increase in university infections? And so we really didn't see a lot of infections attributed to the campus. We do know that while there was an increase, there wasn't that kind of one-day spike that would justify 65 in Forest County. Another reason we know it wasn't university infections because you had 44 in Lamar, and so typically if it was going to be a Southern Miss or a William Carey thing, it would have stayed in kind of one county. We do know there are a couple of new outbreaks at long-term care facilities, and so some of those could be attributed to that. We also know there was a data issue with Hattiesburg Clinic reporting to the Department of Health. Some of the portals have changed in terms of how that information is submitted to the Department of Health, so there were some positive cases that were not attributed about a week to 10 days ago. And so what we could be seeing is those cases kind of finally being put on the record, which would sort of make sense that you saw a lot of cases in both Forest and Lamar County because Hattiesburg Clinic serves both counties. And so, or it could be none of the above or some combination of some of the above. And so we're going to continue watching that. Hopefully, this was just a one-day occurrence. So far, it looks that way because we had single digits the day before, and I think maybe low double digits, and it's kind of the same thing after. And then again, the following day, we have 5 and 4. So hopefully, this is a cleaning up some old data that wasn't submitted, and we'll continue seeing low numbers from here on out. Our inside 14-day number, again, this is a number of cases that have come back positive in the last 2 weeks. That number with the big spike on Saturday, that number's jumped to 162. Again, that's why this inside 14-day number is really just an estimate on the number of active cases we have because we're just looking at the number of positive tests that have come back in the last 14 days. So 162 in Forest County, 120 in Lamar County. Even with that small increase from Saturday's numbers, we're still seeing numbers stay under that 300 total mark, and we hope that since we really haven't seen a big spike post-Labor Day, that those numbers will continue to fall, and we will as we go into cooler weather. We want to make sure that we're continuing to protect the vulnerable, people over the age of 60, people with underlying or chronic health conditions, because those are the people who will get sick and have adverse reactions potentially, which will affect our second goal, which is preventing overrun of the healthcare system while slowing the spread. And if we can do 1 and 2, we can continue this prioritizing public health while giving the private sector the space to continue operating. There are 10 days left in the census, and we are still at 56.4%, which is where we ended last week. And so we really need, if you haven't made a post on your social media, on your Instagram or your Facebook, please do that today for us. Hattiesburgcounts.com is the address. You can fill out your census form. It takes all of 5 minutes. A couple pieces of city news. Today, we broke ground on the Duncan Lake Trail extension. This is an almost $300,000 project. $120,000 of this came from a grant from the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. This will take Duncan Lake is a 17-acre lake just to the southeast of downtown. If you've never gone, it's right off of James Street, and there's a lot of wildlife there, a lot of a great trail. This will actually extend that trail a half-mile farther, and it will actually take it through what's called a sandhill ecosystem. There are 6 sandhill ecosystems in the state of Mississippi like this, which this land resembles more of the American Southwest than it does South Mississippi. There's 6 of them in the state, and there's only 2 of them on public land, and Duncan Lake is one of those 2. And so this will actually create a boardwalk through that so that we don't adversely affect the environment, but you'll be able to see these rare species of cactus and other things. Duncan Lake is also home to over 100 species of birds that either live there or migrate through there. And so a lot of really neat things to see. This trail will actually also end up at Alcorn Avenue. So there will be 2 entrances to Duncan Lake, one off of James Street and one in the East Jerusalem neighborhood. And we are excited about the future because this is also going to connect with the future East Overpass, which will take you to East Hardy Street. You'll be able to bike or walk from there all the way to Duncan Lake. And then ultimately, we want to see this go on to Chain Park and the Longleaf Trace. And so this will be a great extension and a great addition to that network. The other piece of city news, paving last week continued in Ward 2 on Wally, Lewis, and West Streets. These are, especially West Street, was one of the toughest roads in our city. We're glad that project is now done. We'll be moving on to another ward now as paving and infrastructure work continue in the city of Hattiesburg. Finally, we also want to congratulate our 2 high school teams from the metro area that did win their football games on Friday night. Hattiesburg High took care of Jeff Davis County. PCS took care of Wayne Academy. I know that we had several teams that were on bye. They'll be coming back into action this Friday, so best of luck to all of our high school teams. And finally, our act of courage. Over the weekend, I read countless tributes to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And aside from her 27-year tenure on the United States Supreme Court and her courageous battle with cancer and her lifelong fight for women's equality and just being an overall giant in the law, I noticed there was almost near universal respect for her career and admiration for her life's mission. What was often mentioned was her longtime friendship with another late Supreme Court Justice, Antonin Scalia, someone she shared a great relationship while not sharing much in terms of judicial philosophy. But it's a reminder to us, especially in an election year, that our own politics and small disagreements should not keep us from just being kind people and being good to one another. That's the sort of statesmanship, that's the sort of goodness this country needs right now. So as we go into start the week, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself mentally and physically, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential, and remember, you're safer at home. Have a good rest of the evening.